Hey, how's it going? Just kind of sitting here thinking back to when this thing actually ran and what it's going to be like when and if I ever get this thing put back together. So, sorry. Hey, so all kidding aside, here we are in another episode of the never-ending Project Scirocco car restoration. If you're not familiar or you haven't been following, this is my 1985 VW Scirocco. I'm the only owner of this car. I actually drove it off the lot brand new in 1986. Put a little bit over 100,000 miles on it, and then it sat for over 15, now boy 17 or more years. As you can see behind me, a couple episodes back I took the dashboard out to get to the heater matrix to rebuild it. And this episode is going to be part one of trying to restore the dashboard. So despite this dashboard living most of its life with a dash cover on it, it's got a whole bunch of cracks in it. So I decided to tackle this project myself. So I said it before,
and I'll say it again.
I am definitely not a trained mechanic, or in this case an auto body or upholstery specialist. I'm just a random guy with a garage and some tools trying to bring this car back to life. So without any more delay, let's get into part one of the Scirocco dashboard refurbishment. Alright, so question is, what to do with this dash? So you can see there's actually quite a few cracks.
Crack again.
Crack.
In this dash from years of sitting in the desert sun, although it did live its life almost exclusively with a dash mat on, which actually looks pretty good, and I'll probably end up putting it back on no matter what I do.
Fucking A.
Because I just was used to having a dash mat.
Fucking A.
But these cracks, you know, I don't think they're too bad. This is above where the instrument cluster obviously goes. You can see, you know, there's some work to be done, but for the most part, the rest of this doesn't look too bad. And the rear doesn't look too bad either. So you've got this fiberboard sort of material on here. You can see where this has a little bit of damage where it was coming out, where the vent was. This has got a tear in it. This is obviously a mounting point, so I think I can reinforce that and fix that. But for the most part, I think the rest of this looks okay. Surprisingly okay. So I guess the question is, what do I do with it?
Fuck if I know.
Do I put it back on, throw the dash cover on, and call it good?
Fucking A.
That's one option. The other option was to send it off to Just Dashes, I believe, and that was going to be a $2,500 option.
Are you fucking crazy?
Which they actually sand all this down and reskin it. They've got a special machine to do that. That's kind of more than I wanted to spend at the moment.
No shit, Sherlock!
I think the third option, which is what I may go with, is to attempt to fix these cracks myself.
What?
So there are kits, chemicals, filler. I think the company is called Polyvance, and it has a whole set of videos and instructions online. Basically, the technique is to open these cracks
Crack again.
Crack.
up with a Dremel tool, and then if this is raised up at all, you want to feather out a little bit of sanding and basically end up sanding the entire surface. But open these up all the way around in preparation for their proprietary brand of filler, which is like a Bondo material.
Smells just like Bondo.
Fill these up, go through the sanding like an auto body shop would do for a car repair, and then prime it, texture it, and paint it. So, yeah, that's what I'm going to do.
You sound insane. Do you realize that?
That's what I'm going to attempt to do. And in the event that I fail, or it doesn't come out looking exactly perfect, I'm going to throw that dash cover on anyway.
Fucking A.
But at least I will have learned or attempted to learn how to repair dash cracks. So, first thing to do is to get into these things with a Dremel tool and spend some time opening them up. No turning back now. All right, let's do it.
Crack.
That's right. Say no to crack.
And away we go!
Get her done.
Alright, fresh day. This is what the dash looked like after I did the initial pass with the Dremel tool. Just opening it up slightly, not a whole lot, just to get a better look at what I'm dealing with. A little extra material came out right here that was cracked, so that's got to be filled in. But for the most part, again, I just took an initial pass with the Dremel tool, taking out material that wasn't stuck. And the next thing to look at is, before I start sanding the whole thing, is how much more material needs to come out. And the issue is on these bigger cracks at the back, you can see where the surface has pushed up. It's not flat anymore. Some of them are more pronounced than others, and that needs to be addressed as I put before I put the filler in. So while, again, depending on how well this comes out, I'm just going to throw, well, I am going to throw the old dash mat back on.
Fucking A.
And it probably doesn't matter one way or another, but to do it somewhat right, instead of having it raised up on both sides as a peak, again, as that material is pulling apart, it tends to want to go up. That's the lower energy state. I'm going to probably have to feather out a little bit more on these cracks on the back. The ones in the front, if I look at them, they're not bad at all, and this is curved anyway. So I think if I just get a nice sand on this with the double orbital, it'll be fine. And to tell you the truth, these will probably be fine in the back anyway. But what I'm going to do is take a closer look, probably sand out at least 1 or 2 inches out on both sides of these main cracks. And again, this is back in the back, close to the windshield. Probably not going to make a whole lot of difference, but just to make this project go a little bit nicer, I'm going to do what I can and pull these out. The chemicals from Polyvance actually showed up yesterday, so I'll dig into that box in a bit. But the first thing I think I want to do is go ahead and get the orbital sander on here with probably some 80 grit paper all over this dash and get it smoothed out, and then see if I need to do, or what I need to do here back in the back. I'd like to minimize the size of the gap that I need to fill in. If I need to, I'll take a Dremel tool with a drum sander and open this up. And that's what I would need to do to make sure that this is looks like a more flat surface after I get these filled, other than sort of bumps, flat bumps, etc. So I think today is going to be a sanding day. it is nice out, so don the respirator and get this thing going.
Six and a half hours later.
Alright, so let's see. After sanding for quite a while with the orbital, random orbital with both 80 grit and 180 grit, I did my best to at least do an initial knockdown of these humps where the cracks were.
You crack again.
Crack.
And I also used the Dremel with a belt, sort of a drum sander, to bevel these out just a little bit more. And I don't know how good you can see this. Let me try to zoom in here. It doesn't, on the surface, look too bad as a first pass. If you look down here, I mean, it's not perfect, and the dash, you can see even in this part is sort of wavy up and down. I think that's just the whole assembly aging. And this one definitely is better than it was, but it's not perfect. So I did my best just to do this first initial pass through. And I don't think it's that bad, because this dash is got a curve on it naturally, so to get those blended is going to be a challenge. And again, you know, I think I'm just going to try to get these filled in. It's not going to be perfect by any stretch. I've never done this before. I'm looking forward to see what it's like to fill in these holes. Oh. Some people just go ahead and put the padded dash filler. Some people do Bondo. The kit does come with a what they call a fiber flex rod, I think it is. I'll get into all that when I open the box. But I'm thinking this is probably good enough.
Pretty good.
To go. I know I could spend a lot of time striving for perfection when 80% really will do. Again, here you can kind of see it's coming out a little bit, but you know, I think this is going to be okay. It's going to be okay. This whole thing is a set of compound curves, and really all I wanted to do was fix the cracks and get it back on the car. So I'm gonna call maybe this good. I may hit it one more time to try to smooth these out just a bit, but I think I'm in the point of diminishing returns. I really don't think that this is going to be seen. Number one, it's at the end of the dash next to the glass, and nobody's going to know it's there besides me, and I need to get out of this striving for perfection when I don't know what the hell I'm doing to begin with. So I think that's what we're doing. Taking a quick beverage break. Out here in the desert when it's hot, you have to remain hydrated. So I'm going to take a quick break. I've dusted myself off, and I may hit it one more time.
Bring on the Flugelkampfheimler!
With 180. And then I think it's time to get into the Polyvance kit that just came in the mail yesterday and see what's in there. Alright, so here's the materials from Polyvance. Okay, what do we got here? Well, this is Protex textured coating, which will be towards the end of the dash. This will put on the coating that won't replicate what's on there now, but it will put down another texture, somewhat like, I believe, a texture on a drywall, and then that'll be painted over. So I don't think there's any way I can replicate the texturing on the vinyl as it sits originally. Let's see, this is plastic cleaner or super prep. So this is what I'll probably use here in a few minutes to clean off all the excess gunk that may still be on there and dust. Plastic Magic.
Ho, 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 it's magic.
Okay, this is an adhesion promoter,
You know.
which we'll be using later on in the refurbishment.
Never believe it's not so.
And Easy Sand Gray Water-borne Primer Surfacer. So prior to paint going down. This is Filler Prep. This is a liquid that I've seen that you put on and around the cracks that you're getting ready to fill with this padded dash filler. So this is from what people have seen, or what I've seen on YouTube from people doing this. This is kind of like Polyvance's Bondo. So this is apparently made to cross-link with the foam that's in your dashboard and acts just like a Bondo or filler material. And then finally, this is the FiberFlex repair kit. And this is basically these FiberFlex rods in here, which will melt. There is a device in here, you can see the cord that looks like a soldering gun, but it's got a flat spade tip attached to it, and that basically melts this FiberFlex material and will fill up the larger cracks that we've dremeled out prior to putting on the filler. So that's all the stuff that you need from Polyvance, I'm sorry, to repair the dash. And individually, I think all these came out to a little bit over $200. So you make the decision whether you think that's worth it or not. I'm just following the directions by what they suggest. I probably could have skipped a couple of these chemicals, but this is what the manufacturer suggests, so that's what I'm going to do. Again, I've seen people just put Bondo down, sand it, and go about their business, but we're going to take a little bit more time and see how all this works.
One eternity later.
has been the first real pass after filling these cracks in with the plastic weld, and I have to say, with the orbital sander and 80 grit paper, this is now pretty smooth. A little bit of work that needs to happen down here perhaps, but most of this looks pretty good.
Pretty good.
Pretty dang good, lads! Yeah!
All the way across. It may not come across on camera, but this really is pretty flat all the way across here. So with the exception of maybe spending a little bit more time on these vents, cleaning some of this up, which again, diminishing returns, and there seems to be a little bit of buildup right here. So cleaning out maybe these depressions, I think this thing will be ready soon for the padded filler. Which is kind of like a Bondo, and you can see in here that there's some depressions, maybe the light will show it, where the filler didn't get in, or the plastic weld didn't get in all the way. This is going to be filled with the Bondo. So I guess I'm pretty happy with this so far. Let's keep going.
That's what she said.
One eternity later.
That's what I'm talking about!
Alright, so let's see, this has gone through plastic weld, it's gone through the Bondo, or the padded dash filler, it's gone through 80 and 180 grit paper. It's feeling pretty smooth overall. You know, as I run this is the front where the dash cluster goes. If I run my hand over this, it certainly feels smooth. It does sort of undulate a little bit, which I'm worrying somewhat about when it comes to texturing. Some of the curves right here in the back where it meets this part where the vents are has got a lot of up and downs. That was there. In fact, here I can sort of push in a little bit, but that was there with the vinyl before I started. You know, these cracks,
They crack again.
are all but gone. I think it looks pretty good as a first cut for somebody who's never done this before. I'm pretty happy with it. Now, as we get into finishing this thing out, which is going to be part 2. Part 2 is going to be all about what do I do with the texture. Obviously I've got spray texture, I've got primer from Polyvance I mentioned earlier in the video. Maybe I want to go that way, maybe I don't. Maybe I want to see if flocking perhaps might be the way to go. Lots of people seem to like that on YouTube. My problem, no matter what I do, is here's the original texture that was on the vinyl of the dash to begin with, and now with all this Bondo, this is all just smooth. This is all smooth, and then you've got texture. Same thing with up in the front. So you could spend an awful lot of time sanding all of this texture down. There's some of the cracks that were in the front that feel pretty good now, but boy, I don't know. Do I want to sand all of this down to a smooth texture and then go from there? Not sure. Anyway, that's kind of going to bring it a close to this part 1. Part 2 is going to be the next step. What do I do? Where do I go with texture? Do I wrap it? Do I flock it? Do I put a spray texture on? Don't know. If you like these videos, hopefully you learned something. If not, maybe it was entertaining to watch me mess around with repairing a dash. Appreciate it if you hit the like button, all that sort of good stuff. Your support means a whole bunch to me. If you have an idea, strong idea or thoughts about where I should go, should I wrap it with an auto body wrap? Is that possible? Should I do a flocking? Flocking seems somewhat interesting to me. I'm not sure if I'm up on with that look, but it is popular right now, and it really looks like that would be a good way to go to cover a lot of the imperfections that are on this dash. Again, my big problem right now is how do I get a texture that's uniform across the whole thing. So I would appreciate any of your comments you want to leave, or if you want to reach out and just say hi or send me some pictures of your projects, that would be cool too. So I will see you in part 2.